Well, welcome to today's webinar, Knowing Your Hispanic Customer, Cultural Differences with Mauricio Espinoza from G20 Inc. I'm Nicole, and I'll be moderating the webinar today. We are recording the presentation, so a copy will be available on our YouTube channel later this week. That's youtube.com/yourFIADA. To those of you who are participating on the phone, we've muted your phone lines to eliminate background noise, but you're welcome to submit questions at any time using that chat icon at the top of your screen. We will open the floor for questions at the end of the presentation. And today, FIADA is pleased to introduce our speaker, Mauricio Espinoza, who is the founder and president of G20 Inc. Mauricio is an internationally respected leader in the automotive industry, and he has authored numerous training and consulting programs currently being used throughout Mexico and the United States. Today, Mauricio will discuss how an awareness of differences, cultural behaviors can help you and your sales team establish a better communication channel, which leads to higher closing ratio, better business, and a greater customer satisfaction. Mauricio, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Nicole, for that sweet presentation, and good morning to everyone. I'm going to share my screen, and here should go the presentation. So, Nicole, if you just can confirm that the presentation is on screen, on the chat box, that way I can keep going with this, please. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So, knowing your Hispanic customer, cultural differences between them, and probably one of the biggest things that we mistake with a Hispanic customer is that we try to box them all in one category. So we're thinking that all Hispanics behave the same way just because they speak Spanish. That is the same to say that Americans and Britons and South Africans and Australians will behave the same just because they speak English. And I can throw in there India as another country that speaks English as their official language. So if we can perceive that, then we understand that there is a big difference, and the only common thing that we have is the language. And because of the language is Spanish, it doesn't mean that all the words and all the phrases are in the same context, just the same way as it works in English with all the different English-speaking countries. So that's one part. So that's one of the biggest parts that we need to understand, that we're different. And Florida is it's a state that we can combine a lot of our culture. So Florida wouldn't be Florida without its very rich cultural influence from Latin America. Food, entertainment, nightlife, of course, salsa dancing, of course, and design in the area are affected by the inspiration of Latin American community. Probably Cubans, by far, are the largest community, especially in the Miami area. South Florida, that's where we find more of the Cubans. But we have a lot of Venezuelans, Argentines, Peruvians, Colombians, Brazilians, Ecuadorians, Mexicans, of course, and many other countries. And although we all love each other, we have our main differences. And I'm going to try to talk a little bit about those differences and how can we understand that better. And because we can understand that better, we will be able to communicate better. Now, on sales, as you guys know, there's really nothing new on sales. You need to have a salesperson, you need to have somebody that wants to buy something, and you have that something, which is the vehicle. So you have the three entities that are part of the selling process: a product, a seller, and a buyer. Now, what does it make the buyer make that purchasing decision at your store it has to do really with comfort zone. Yes, price is one part. Yes, product is another part. But with Hispanic community, with Hispanic culture, and I very much believe with almost every culture, feeling comfortable at the store, it surely helps to make that decision. Now we can go on and we can talk about, and I'm going to talk a little bit about where the Hispanic population is. I saw something on the text, but it disappeared. Let me see. I want to make sure. Yes. I can see. Okay, so there's nothing new. Okay. Let me go back. Sorry about it. I want to make sure that I keep track of the little bubble in case there is a question that comes right up. Okay, so you guys can see your little panhandle over there, and but I was back into the make us comfortable buying a product, in this case a vehicle. One thing that we really need to make sure our salespeople understand, or the people that is in charge of taking care of our customers, and that said, even receptionists, people on the phone, if we're a buy here, pay here, obviously our collection people, that will help a lot if we understand that it's comfort what it's going to make us keep repeating our business, whether it's the selling part, whether it's the collection part. We need to make sure that we understand that part. Okay, so Florida, there's no question that it's really packed of Hispanics. We are a lot of Hispanics in Florida. It's actually the fourth state in the country with more Hispanics, according to the, I think it's 2011 census, and it can jump up to 3. I don't think it will take away California really as the number one. There's just too many Mexicans in California to make it. But here we go. Over 4 million Hispanics, 23% population, 33 years of age. So it's a young community. Just a little over 20,000 on a median income, 16 plus, 31% poverty, 33% without health insurance, 54% home ownership. That's a big thing. Hispanics look to have their homes, and but then we have a big Hispanic community growing, as 27% of all Hispanics are under the 12th grade. So let's look at this from another perspective. Those 4 million plus Hispanics living in Florida, which is the third state. I'm sorry, I said fourth, is the third state. As a percent of the state population, 23%, we say that. Native born, I'm going to jump into native born. That's 8.4% of all Hispanics in Florida are native born. So that means we have a lot, 51%. So right now we have half that has been born in the state and half that hasn't. And this is important because that second generation, that third generation, are moving more into an awareness of the U.S. culture. And because they're becoming more U.S. culture, they adjust. So that second generation, that third generation, especially third generation, is basically U.S. culture 95%. They keep their background, they keep their festivities, they keep their customs of their origin. But however, and I see this with my friends all over the country, when I'm talking to second, third generations, they're really more adapted to the U.S. Cultural awarenesses and all that. Mexican is 15%, and the rest of them obviously are non-Mexican, being Cubans the highest percentage in Florida. So when we talk about Hispanics, I always like to say to everyone that wants to go into this business, like either you're in or you're out. There is no, let me try it this way and let's see if it works, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to work. I mean, you really need to make the effort. It's a really large customer base for you, and it is worth to go in and make sure it's working. And because of that, you need to have Spanish-speaking people working there, and you need to understand the culture, and you need to go beyond just putting a sign out that says "Se habla español," because it's more than that. And make sure that we understand that. Only English-speaking or spoken at home, 16% of all Hispanics in Florida. This is just Florida, okay? We go to the rest of the country, will be different, but just in Florida, the English as a language to be speaking at home is just 16%. So at home, everybody speaks Spanish. When they say language other than English, it's obviously Spanish, what they speak at home. And this is census information. So just exactly the way it is. So 84% of all Hispanics will be speaking Spanish at home, or some kind of Spanish, what I call Spanglish. There's a lot of Spanglish in the community, and that's what is growing. I'm not saying that you guys need to speak Spanglish, but I'm saying that we need to have somebody that can communicate well with your customer. And I'm going to get here into a little bit of more details. I'm going to try to go into detail, and then I'm going to come back into generic information about the customer. Once I'm done speaking, hopefully in about 20, 25 minutes, we can go, or less than that, we can go into questions and answers specifics to each one of your markets, probably. And that's what I was saying. How about Spanglish? Spanglish is very common these days. We can go half of the phrase in English and half of the way in Spanish, and then go back to English and then finish in Spanish. And probably we're the only ones that understand what the heck we're talking about. You bring somebody from their own country, and I have, when my family come from Mexico, and they sit in front of us with my friends, you can see their faces like, what just happened? We changed language like 2-3 times in the same conversation. But that's just part of the new culture that is being developed here in the U.S. And that's a big, big part of what we need to understand about culture. Because although we all have our own backgrounds, and I'm Mexican, and I have many friends that are Cubans over there in Miami, and I have many friends in Tampa that are Colombians and Venezuelans, and I have friends in different parts. They have a different country background, but we are developing a U.S. culture. We really are developing a combination of all cultures here in the U.S. And one of the biggest things is that we are understanding that as a minority, we are very strong when we get together, and we enjoy that. So we start learning more about different countries just because we are in this melting pot that is helping us to learn about their countries. So we like to see that all countries are getting the attention that they need to be getting. So it's not like, oh, because I'm Mexican, I'm going to go to a place that is just target to Mexicans. No, actually, I will go to a place that is actually understanding all countries, not one single country. That is understanding that we're developing one culture where all the flags are involved. And I hope this is making sense to you. And we need to understand that we can do a lot of marketing, and marketing, the only thing it's going to do is going to bring people to your store. And that's it, not more. So you can hire a very good company that is going to make an amazing marketing campaign, is probably going to target the right kind of background that you're going for in your market. It's probably going to make sure that the decision target points are achieved on that marketing campaign, that you have the right English and the right Spanish, and everything is going well. So you will bring people to your store. So the question is, what happens when that person walks into your store? Are we prepared to actually entertain that customer? Are we prepared to understand that he or she is wanting to be taught in Spanish or a little bit in English? And we understand if it's a first generation or a third generation when they walk in the room, or we are profiling the person as they walk in. And this is one of the biggest mistakes a lot of companies do. They profile. And I understand we look Hispanics, and I understand there's no way you can mistake one of them and try to talk to them in Spanish right away, but you need to be a little bit careful. What I'm trying to say with this is, and I'm thinking probably a mid-sized store where you have somebody that probably you have one or two Hispanic salesperson, and probably you have another two or three non-Hispanic salesperson. So let's go with that ratio, about almost 1-to-1, just a little bit over 1-to-1, like 1.1 to 1. Okay? So for some reason, your two Hispanic customers or your two Hispanic salesperson are working with clients already, and another Hispanic comes into the store. You need to make sure that before you try to tell them, okay, wait on, let me call Jose to come take care of you, just wait, because it might be a third generation, it might be a second generation, or it might be a first generation that is really trying to speak English. And in the last 4 years, 5 years, I have really seen an increase on the desire to learn the language, where it has not that been in the past. So there's a lot that they're actually trying to learn, and they're actually trying to speak it, and sometimes they want also that opportunity to be speaking the English. We just need to be a little bit slower on the way we talk to them, and just be more attentive to them. But they will not get offended if you all of a sudden start speaking to them in English. So just give them time when they're walking into your showroom or into your store, and try to figure out the product that they're looking for. The statistics are important, and this is going to be good for your business. So you need to know what percentage of your customer base is responding to which media. And when I say media, here's a big thing with Hispanics. Hispanics are the largest users of the internet and apps in the market. And the reason is very simple. This has to do with culture again. Because we don't know who's going to be taking care of us once we go to a certain store, to a certain business. We research more. And we research more because we want to establish more comfort zone for us. I want to look in your website, and I want to see who's going to be there. I want to see the picture of your salesperson that are going to be taking care of me. And because I see that picture, it's going to make sense to me in my mind. I don't know if it makes sense in everybody's mind, but in my mind, that Hispanic customer, yeah, that's a person I can work with. It doesn't matter if I just see the picture. It's ideal to have a small introductory video these days. And you can do that very easy. There's many applications that you can add a small personal introduction of each one of your salespersons. This is great for any culture, but Hispanics absolutely adore that part, because then we see the person, then we hear the person, and we go, oh yeah, I can talk to that one, and I will go there. So just think about that part. It's not expensive, and it's really a nice touch on your website. And Hispanics will be looking at your website before they go to your store. I guarantee you that. they're probably going to see it through the phones because that's one of the biggest things, and it's not just Hispanics. That's just because of the age, culture. We're more technology driven, or when I say we, probably still feel young, but younger crowd, and we see that Hispanics are 30 years old as a median. That's part of the Y generation. When we talk about the Y generation, for those younger people, under 30, and if you go into to the teens these days, I remember when I was growing up, if my father would get mad at me, he would say, "You cannot drive your vehicle for the next week." These days, you say that to a teenager and say, "Okay, that's fine." If you really want to punish them or, make them think about it, take their phone out. That's even worse than taking the vehicle. That will really do it. So we all are attached to our phones. They all have apps. We can see our websites from there and find different kind of communications. Hispanics are big on that, bigger than TV or radio. Social media is the number one among Hispanics these days. Number two, radio. Number three, TV. Just in that order. Then, obviously, you can go into your brochures and newspaper inserts and all that kind of stuff. But look which one is working for you. Get your closing ratio per media or your conversion rate. How many clicks, how many people are coming to your store, and with that, attach that to the vehicle of preference. There is a change in the vehicle of preference. These days also, we have seen that in the last 3-4 years, where Hispanics are going more for family vehicles, and then the truck as a second vehicle. It used to be the opposite. It used to be the truck as the first vehicle, and then they will go into a family vehicle, and you will see all the Hispanics all packed inside the little cabin of a pickup. These days, that trend is turning completely around. So just make sure that you're really looking into that. That way, your inventory is in the right track also. And obviously, this is going to be more in metro areas than non-metro. If you go outside the metro areas, you're probably going to still see the truck as the number one vehicle preference for Hispanics, and then the family vehicle. And that's just because of the commute. So as I have seen, Hispanics and the habits change as family needs to change. And that's where we see the family vehicle coming more into place than the truck, because although they're still young, we see a lot more of these younger Hispanics getting married and establishing their families. So they're moving into the second part of their life here in the U.S. And with the family vehicle becomes very important, second after the house. That's how they make their decisions. All their habits are family driven. Everything has to do with family. So if we want to do some kind of major marketing events where we're going to bring people into our store, think about family events. Think about a small gathering where you can bring all the family. Don't think only on the person that is going to make the decision. If you look at bringing family to the store, that's always going to be much better. So be open to have children and have a little children area in your store, whether it's just a color or little game that they can be playing with. That's always a welcoming part for the kids. Make sure that's part of your advertising campaign, that kids are welcome, and you can have candy, you can have a lot of that stuff to make them happy. And you're going to see that the more you welcome the family to your store, more than just the customer, your negotiations are going to be a lot easier to deal with. You might have a big crowd over there because some Hispanics, they really do like to bring the grandma and the grandpa, uncle, aunts, and even the parrot or the dog into the store. But that's just because sometimes they need that team of cheerleaders to make them feel comfortable. And the reason is that the vehicle is a huge, huge accomplishment in the Hispanic community. Having a vehicle, it really represents a lot, especially on that first generation here in the U.S. That first generation, or just immigrants that just got here, most likely they grew up thinking that they will never, ever, ever, ever will own a vehicle in their lives. So when they get here and they see they have that opportunity, it's huge. And we need to understand that. And we need to celebrate that with them because they will really appreciate that. And because we are family driven, most likely what is going to happen is that they're going to recommend you to the rest of the family. And remember, family is, yes, blood related, but when we come to another country as first generation, or just we start establishing a new family here with people that we start liking and knowing, because we are family driven, and if we don't have anybody here, we look for that community of closeness. And once we find it, we start calling them tias or tios, and they're probably not it, but we do. Just make sure that we understand that part too. So we need to learn the background. Cubans are completely different than Mexicans, and we love each other, but we're different. So if we're going to celebrate Cinco de Mayo, well, let's understand that's just for Mexicans. If we want to trigger one of their cultures, we need to find what do they celebrate. If it's Cubans, let's go ahead and find out. It's not that difficult if you're in Florida to find out their festivities, or if we want to go after the Venezuelans, or we want to go after a specific background. Let's just really make sure that we're triggering that one. And I'm just going to make a parenthesis right now, and let's on this, and it's not politics, it's just because Venezuela is going through a really hard time these days. They're really fighting for the freedom. Let's make sure that we support our Venezuelan people in the state. I know there's a lot of them, and there's big changes in their country as we speak, and the way things are going over there. So if you have a big Venezuelan community, just make sure that you sympathize with them. Okay. So Hispanics can negotiate with non-Hispanics. Absolutely, they can. The question is, will your Hispanic customer negotiate with you? So let me rephrase that. Hispanics can and will negotiate with non-Hispanic. That is not the question. The question is if they will negotiate with you. That means, are you ready to really welcome the Hispanics to be more, give them more time. Hispanics, we need more time to make decisions. We need to, it's not that we need to think about it, we need to feel it. Okay, we really need to feel that's the vehicle. We really need to feel that's the right decision. We have a lot of emotions going through our veins. We are melodramatic. That's part of who we are. And you just have to watch a novela and you'll find out how melodramatic we are. And that's everything that we do in life. Everything has to be a drama to make it even feel better. So sometimes even when we're buying a vehicle, we're trying to give that time and, struggle a little bit so it can be a drama. So at the end, the drama will become something good. And it's just part of the fun of being Hispanics. But give them time, be prepared for them, be ready to change vehicle at the end of the negotiation. Be ready to be open for them to see the vehicle one more time, even when they're already there. That's important for Hispanics. And now I will go back to this one. Here we go. And now I will go to any questions that you may have on your particular market or in anything that was discussed here. Hopefully everybody was able to understand or to get most of what I was saying.
And if you have a question, you can just click on that chat bubble and enter it, and then we can answer it that way. Mauricio, I have a question to get us started.
Yes.
If you maybe you can't speak Spanish very well, is it better if you're working with a customer and you know that Spanish is their primary language? Is it better to try to speak Spanglish and make the effort, or if you know that you can't speak Spanish very well, would that maybe seem insulting or not the best way to go about that conversation?
Well, it's okay to do both. It depends in the how. Always the how is the important part. If you don't speak Spanish that well and you tell them, you know what, I don't speak Spanish that well, but I will try, and let's try to understand slowly each other, they will love that. They will absolutely love that. They will try to do a little bit of Spanish and a little bit of English, and you're going to see a big smile coming out of their mouth. Mm-hmm. Once you tell them that you're going to try, and sometimes, here's the big part. When you have these Hispanics that they don't speak English that well or don't speak English, they feel really, really, really funny trying to communicate. So when they see that you're going through the same scenario, trying to speak Spanish where you actually feel funny, what is happening is that you guys are empathizing into each other's difficulties of the language. And that makes it really comfortable for them and really fun for them. So don't stop trying, just don't make it serious, make it fun. And you'll see that that's going to actually break all kind of ice in the communication.
Great. Okay. You mentioned, having a kids area and a dealership can be helpful. Another question that we just got is, do you think adding something like an espresso machine in the lobby, is that something that may also make it feel more like a home, comfortable environment?
Absolutely. Just make sure you have Latin American coffee. Don't give me Hawaiian coffee or coffee from other parts. Make sure that you say this Colombian coffee or Venezuelan coffee or coffee from Mexico, because it's part of, you're going to do coffee. Make sure you're advertising that kind of coffee too, which is actually the best coffee.
Another question, you mentioned that it would be helpful to have some kind of intro welcome video on your website. If you don't have something in your budget for a professional video, do you think a kind of informal video is okay, or is it better to wait until you can have a professional
That's actually the best one. If you just get your application of Capture to upload a YouTube video where you have your guy buy one of your vehicles where you can see it. It's just very simple, not more than 1 minute introduction. Hi, I'm Mauricio, and I will be glad to meet you when you get here. And he's just speaking Spanish, something very simple. That's the kind of thing that we want to see. If we see that there's too much effort into it, we start questioning how good is that. He really is that? He's an actor. Is that the person I'm really going to find there? Otherwise, like we say, okay, yeah, that's him. I know him.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's really good advice. Do we have any other questions? Does anyone else have a question they want to ask? If not, Mauricio, we really appreciate you being here today. This was a great presentation, and I think that it will be a great resource to keep up and share with our members in the future as well.
Thank you. I'll be more than honored to be here again.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And if anybody thinks of a question later, it looks like we're getting a question right now. Actually.
Yeah, George Cruz has a question. let's see, he's typing. Come on, George.
Well, while we're waiting for that question, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, while we wait for the question, I don't know if there's a need of any webinars in Spanish, Nicole, but that's something that you can also probably do a pool, and if there's some need for some webinars in Spanish, I'll be happy to do those too.
That would be great. We would love to consider doing that in the future. And Mauricio, if anybody thinks of a question that they have later today or in the future, is there a way that they can contact you to ask that question, or
yes.
How would you
yes,
like to do that?
I can put my email here on the. Does hospitality and business interaction with Hispanic clients I'm not sure I'm understanding the question.
Okay. So George said, does hospitality and business interaction with Hispanic clients, is that synonymous? In your opinion, so is that the same thing, being hospitable and welcoming and friendly? Is that the same as is that part of the business interaction?
I really don't think it's synonymous. Business interactions, I can see business interaction more as a network, and you have a clientele that they're very business interaction. You have a clientele of more high income level of Hispanics, but they're most likely going to be going more to the new car stores or to the certified used vehicles more than the used car lots. And that's just the way it is. And they will be looking for more business interaction. Hospitality is really the welcoming part in your store. Really be a host when they come to your store. We as Hispanics, we like to host people. We like to welcome them into our homes, lives, businesses. If you go to any business in any country south of the border, when you walk into the business, most likely you're going to feel a warmth coming in. It's because we feel like anybody that is coming in, it's our guest more than a client. So when you change the idea of client to guest, and that guest will make a purchasing decision at your store as a consequence of that hospitality. So Hispanics look first for feeling comfortable, and you feel comfortable more when you actually have that hospitality more than just the business interaction. I don't know, George, what touch points at business establishments are important to focus. I will say is the interaction, George. Make sure that the people are constantly welcoming. It's not just because let's say I am your salesperson and I'm taking care of your sales of your Hispanic customers. You know, people around, the rest of the people that work at the store are as important as I am. So looking for the smile, looking for the shake hand or waving at your hand, those kind of small gestures where you're making me as a customer feel that I'm in the right place. You know, the kids area are important. The espresso machine is I think it's a great idea. But it has to go beyond what you can have as an item there at your store. You have to go into what's my people and my store doing when we see the Hispanics. And you know, you don't have to overdo it, but you need to make sure that you're waving the hand at them, or if you're passing by, just stop and a quick hola or a quick ¿cómo está is always good. I think that's what really makes the Hispanic customer feel comfortable at your place.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who took the time to join us today. As we mentioned earlier, a recorded version of this webinar is going to be available on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/yourFIADA. And if you do have questions, if you think of follow-up questions, you're welcome to send an email to Mauricio. His email is there on the screen. It's mespinosa@g20inc.net, and I can include that in a follow-up email as well.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great day and a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Excuse